Welcome to the very first podcast with Jon Walner from Walner Law. Each month, we're going to discuss law topics that are relevant for the day. Welcome, Jon Walner. Jon, why don't we start by finding out a little bit more about you? And let's start with, how did you get started in the law industry and where'd you go to school? Let's start there.
After I graduated University of Michigan in 1984 with a Bachelor in Business, I thought, why don't I continue the Walner family tradition in going into my father's law firm, Harvey L. Walner and Associates Limited. He started the law firm in 1961 with a partner, David Rosner. And then in 1973, he took over the firm by himself. And I came to Walner Law after I passed the bar exam in 1987. And I started in January of 1988. And when I started out as a lawyer, we would, each lawyer would be assigned about 250 personal injury files. And we would, go to court in the morning and on motion calls, to tell the judge the progress of the cases. And then we would do depositions, taking all the witness depositions and the client depositions. And finally, you get a break in the afternoon to talk to your clients and, go over what you did for the day. So you'd be working all night because all day you were in court.
Wow. So what has changed since that time when you first started?
I would say that the aggression between the plaintiff's bar and the defendant's bar has calmed down. It used to go to court and everyone would be yelling and screaming at each other. The courts have streamlined the caseload by going to what's called mandatory arbitration for cases worth under $50,000. Now there's an alternative to your practice where you can go and arbitrate in front of a three-member panel that consists of judges and air your case out in a less formal manner than court. And it really reduces the time that you get the case to a resolution of the same. And throughout my career, we've seen an advent of private arbitration services called maybe Alternative Dispute Resolution and American Arbitration Association and private arbitrations with retired judges to really move these cases in a non-traditional manner of usually going to court and having to have your case adjudicated by a jury. So that's really helped the plaintiff's bar and not having clients wait so long for their money and stand up against billion-dollar insurance companies where they just drag it out. And the person that really suffers is the client. They're not working. They have no money. They're not able to pay their rent or their mortgage. And it was a tremendous financial drain on the plaintiff. And what also has helped in our industry is legal lending. Legal lending in Illinois, I can't recollect the date that it started, but I'm guessing it's over 10 years old. And before, when the plaintiffs were burdened with rent and expenses and debt and taking care of their children and the insurance companies to drag out their case, now the plaintiffs have an opportunity to borrow against their eventual recovery. So, for example, if the case was worth $50,000 to the plaintiff, he was able to borrow up to, let's say, 25% of the recovery, of course, paying interest. But the client wouldn't be responsible for the loan if the case wasn't perfect, if it didn't win, if he didn't receive the money that he thought he would be getting. That takes a lot of drain off the lawyer because the clients would always cry and say, I have no money. They want to quickly settle their case because they had no money. And so the plaintiff's bar is thankful that there is legal lending, that there is alternative dispute resolution, that there is mandatory arbitration in Cook County, Illinois. And that's really helped the plaintiffs in their anguish, in their financial distress, and trying to get their cases adjudicated in the most fair and reasonable manner.
So it sounds like the process has changed and it's shortened from the time that the case starts between the time that it ends and the plaintiff gets their money that they need.
That they
deserve. How would you describe, what's that window look like? Like how long of a time period is it typically? I know it obviously can change from case to case, but
right. Now, if the plaintiff doesn't have severe injuries, but he has injuries that don't require surgery or any kind of surgical intervention or major physical therapy and strength training, you can resolve the typical auto accident in less than a year. Now, if you have serious injuries and complex liability issues, the window is really narrowed to less than 3 years. I'm going to say 2.5 years, because now everything with videos, we have the cameras all over Chicago and store cameras taking a picture of the scene, our ability to communicate with defense counsel and the judges through Zoom. You can have hearings now through Zoom. You don't have to wait in court for hours in a hallway. You have your hearings immediately now. Defense counsel is more reachable through emails. You have instant answers to discovery questions. Doctors can testify all over the country now from Zoom. You don't have to get in an airplane and go to San Francisco to meet an expert in traumatic brain injury. So all the technology has really helped both the defendants and the plaintiffs. We could get cases adjudicated faster through technology. And before you would communicate through telephone. And then there was the fax machine. And now you have email. But now the clients can upload all their information for the lawyers through text messaging, through email. They could pull their medical records through portals in their hospitals and doctor's office because of the Electronic Medical Records Act. We have easier access to get records. So it used to be a nightmare with snail mail and written requests for records and waiting months for the records. The clients now, we can get the records in less than 30 days. In fact, the client himself can get the records in a day when the hospital gives the client their username and password and an activation code. They could pull the records immediately. These all cut down on months and months and months of waiting time to get a fair and reasonable adjudication of the client's case, to maximize the recovery in shorter time. It is an absolute penalty when the client cannot get their cases heard because there's a backlog in getting records or people aren't present to give their depositions, like experts and doctors, because of location and timing. Now the doctors could testify by Zoom. They don't have to drive somewhere. The doctor would have to drive to the office of the lawyers. Now you can set up the lights and sound in a court reporter right in front of the witness and have it all on video and all be ready in days. That speeds up the process, unclogs the court system, and gives the plaintiff bar or the plaintiffs who are injured a fair shot at a faster resolution for their injuries, for which they're suffering for every day. And we're blessed to have this technology to speed up this process. It is a real weight on the client's shoulders every day that he's not able to get the fair and reasonable compensation he deserves. Think about it. The plaintiff is in an accident. He loses the ability to walk on his leg. It needs surgery. The surgery could go wrong. You need another surgery. You're not able to walk up and down stairs. You're not able to pick up your children. You're not able to take your kids to and from their school or camp, any activities, because the searing pain in your body, the immobility in your leg, the inability to get in and out of a car, to get up and down stairs. Think about this. Every day they live with this pain, this suffering. And then there's depression. Oh, I can't be with my child. I can't maybe be amorous with my wife. I'm too depressed about what's going on in my life. I'm overeating or oversleeping. And every day they live with this. And all they want to do is, there is a lift when they get a financial resolution. They could have the money to make up for their debt. People get depressed when they're in financial straits. People get depressed when they are unable to do activities. And money does give them the ability to manage their pain, to not be afraid that insurance won't be there for them, that insurance won't protect them. They now have the financial ability to get therapy, to get pain management, to have the ease of mind that no longer money will never depress me. Having the money, I won't be in depression. I won't be unable to sleep and worry, to be nervous. And that's the goal of a faster legal system. I hope that'll continue in the future and even get faster and better. That's what we pray for.
So if there was somebody listening right now in the audience that is debating about whether they feel like they need a personal injury lawyer, can you share with the audience more about, when it's, what they need to look for in regards to hiring a personal injury lawyer and or whether they think they even qualify?
That's a great question. Here you have, let's say, you're going to work, you pull up to a stop sign, and the guy, is not paying attention, slams into your car at 40 miles an hour. The airbags go off, smashes your chest, your head whips backwards, and maybe your face crashes through the windshield. And, you go to the ambulance, you have hospital bills of $25,000, and some clients, some people may say, you know what? I'll just get this guy to pay for, my car. My car is damaged, $20,000. He has insurance. We'll get to the car. I'll work through, this on my own. The insurance company will call him up maybe. This happens all the time. The insurance company immediately knows about this accident. They'll immediately jump all over the client. They'll say, hey, we'll give you $25,000 for injuries. And the clients are like, the people in the public go, yeah, I'll take that money. I'll take that money right now. They have no idea what their future holds for them. They have no idea what their future medical bills, but they are seeing an ability to quickly resolve this claim with the enemy. The insurance company will do anything to lower the amount to quickly resolve this case, because if they have a lawyer, they know they will have to pay what the client's entitled to. For example, in the state of Illinois, inability to do their job or live their life that they used to, physical pain, mental suffering, all their medical bills in the past and in the future. It really happens when people don't hire lawyers. Let's take a new case. You're at a stop sign, a guy hits you at 20 miles an hour. You have like $1,500 damage to your car. You're feeling okay, you're a little dizzy, you're a little woozy, adrenaline is pumping up your body. You feel nothing. You don't go in an ambulance, you don't go to the emergency room. Now, you wake up the next day, I'm feeling, hurt, my hip's hurting, I'm limping, my back, I can't bend over, or I can't reach for the shelf. And, they try to work it out. They are at the peril now of the insurance company. The insurance companies that call them up immediately. They're going to know the police report. They're going to know they're insured. Called them. Here's a police report. I just hit Tom Jones in the rear. And, I was going like 20 miles an hour. Nothing hit. There's hardly any damage to the guy's car. He's all right. The insurance company, you know what they do next? They immediately call Tom Jones and they say, hey, man, there's not a lot of property damage to your car. I've been at Allstate Insurance for 25 years, and I see no damage. You're going to be all right. The guy says, you know what? I woke up this morning, my back's aching. I couldn't reach for an upper shelf. I'm kind of limping, and I had a real trouble sleeping last night. He goes, you know what, dude? You're going to be okay. Hire a lawyer, and it's going to take years to get money. Think about that. Years, and the lawyer's going to take a third fee, and you'll be waiting around. Settle with me right now. I'll give you $1,000 for future medical care. We'll give you $1,000 for pain, and we will fix your car. Now, 2 weeks later, the client's pain is more severe. And he has pain running under his buttocks and down to his leg and into his foot. He has searing pain where he can't sit. He's already taken the money. He has nothing.
There's nothing he can do.
Nothing. When you sign a written contract and you're of sound mind and memory, and you have the ability to understand the contract, you're not a minor and you don't have any mental deficits, you are stuck. There is no redoing the contract that you signed. You took the money, you cashed it. And there is no redoing or redacting this contract.
What if you didn't sign a contract, but your injuries, maybe a year or two later, you're starting to have more issues with that leg, or you're having back pain or something like that, and you realize that it was from that car accident, what are the limitations time-wise when somebody then could decide, hey, I think now I need to take this to a lawyer?
In your example, the biggest problem that the people that are injured through no fault of their own run into is exactly what you said. I'll try to work this out. I'll go to my local massage therapist, work it out. I don't need a lawyer. I'm going to get better. There's a lot of, union guys and tough guys and people that don't want to bother with the law or get a lawyer that's going to all work out. Things are going to be great. And say you have a small tear in your rotator cuff and that's what you're talking about right now, getting it worse no matter what they're doing. Now, the client, it's too late for a surgery. They're done. There's nothing to do about it. And they've wasted all this time trying to get better without the best medical professionals. Does it hurt their case? Are they out of luck? No. In the state of Illinois, you have 2 years from the date of an injury to make a claim, to file a lawsuit, to protect your right to receive money. So in Illinois, there is a 2-year statute. There is a saving statute if you're a minor, and a minor has, until they're 18 years old to file a lawsuit, or 2 years, after they reach majority to file lawsuits. So we don't punish minors. We don't punish mentally ill people. They may not have known their rights, but that is really the only things that would save a statute. But if you're of sound mind and memory, you have no mental deficits, you're not a minority, you have 2 years in the state of Illinois to file a lawsuit. The longer you wait without a lawyer, what happens? You lose witnesses. The defendant immediately can say, oh, I didn't cause this accident. I didn't do anything wrong. I made a left-hand turn in the red. Tons of these cases. We're going straight. It's a close call. We go through yellow. The defendant said, no, you went through red, because when the light turned red, I proceeded to make my left-hand turn, and I caused the accident. When he got out of the car, the witnesses said, oh, I saw you did nothing wrong. You went through yellow. You weren't going fast. Those witnesses are no longer there, right? They are no longer there. The client loses their names, loses numbers, or the witnesses' numbers have changed. The witnesses have moved. It's a close call on the truck making a right. Here's a huge example of denial of liability. Truck's in the left lane, you're in the right lane, you're proceeding straight. You have no indication the truck is going to make a right-hand turn from the left lane. Truck makes a right-hand turn, throws your car into the side of the road. Insurance company says, yeah, I'll pay your property damage, right? Mm-hmm. So the client thinks, oh, I've secured the case. Client, the trucks have a minimum of $1 million on the tractor, and if the trailer's loaded, countless millions of dollars on the back of the truck, the trailer. And the guy thinks, oh, all right, I'll work everything out. Then he realizes the injury isn't getting better. Mm-hmm. What doesn't he have? The video from the Citgo gas station on the corner that shows the whole accident. Mm. What he doesn't have, he never wrote a letter of preservation to the trucking company to keep any and all videos. He never wrote a letter of preservation to the police that turned up on the scene, and they have a video on the dashboard, they have a body-worn camera that could talk about, that could listen into the dispute. Everything is taped over. The ability to prosecute this case against truck driver. Never once I've ever seen in my 34 years of practicing law as a truck driver said, you know what, I was wrong. I committed this accident because a truck driver is a professional driver. This is their profession, driving. Any black mark on a CDL is an inability to get hired by anybody. So truck drivers, I'm talking UPS drivers, FedEx drivers, Amazon truck drivers, never will admit that they're wrong. Never. For example, we had a case where a man and his dog are crossing the street in front of a school, and a mile away, Amazon rents all these enterprise trucks. There's one thing to get from an Amazon warehouse to an Amazon distribution point, but in Chicago, in these smaller streets, they use little trucks to deliver your Amazon orders. Yeah. And we see that all over.
Yeah.
There's these little Amazon trucks. They may have an Amazon sticker on the side, but there's thousands of these little white vans they look like little enterprise rent-a-cars. And we have a man and his dog crossing the street. It was next to a school. The only thing beyond the school is this Amazon distribution point with 1,000 white vans. Van comes, crushes my client. The dog, thank God, lives because the dog was his life, and severely injures him. You have the tape from the school showing exactly what happened, except like Amazon their sticker wasn't on the truck, but there's nothing there. Amazon denies it's their driver, denies they had anything to do with it. And this is your typical case.
Yeah.
This is what's going on in America. You have no chance against a professional truck driver. They will fight you with their multi-billion dollars companies against you. And that's where we go right back to the beginning. Hire a lawyer.
Yeah.
You have no idea what you're up against. Your failure to hire a lawyer, like in your example, in a speedy manner, you are losing all rights to that video on that school. You are losing every asset you need to prosecute your case. And now the lawyer could arrange financing for you. So this guy who got smashed is no longer in financial distress because he can borrow off the eventual recovery of his case. There's so many examples these days of the person that gets injured is lucky that there is this advanced technology. I had a client, Jack Deaton. He's a tow truck driver. He comes to the scene of an accident to change a tire. You have 4 girls outside their car, outside of Indianapolis. He goes on the side of the road to jack up the tire. An 18-wheeler comes by and both his legs get amputated, right?
Yeah.
Now, and the truck leaves the scene of the accident.
Yeah.
It's nuts, right? The girls saw it, but what did the girls not see? The label on the side of this truck, right?
Mm-hmm.
The label on the side of the truck. The guy says, I have no chance. 18-wheeler, hit and run. I was in his hospital room, sitting on his bed with his girlfriend. He had one leg cut off. He was about to have another leg amputated. And life's over. Life's done. The girlfriend says, life's done. Is she going to stick around with this guy? Where's their sexual relationship going? Where's their she has love of love, society, companionship, hugging, kissing. And is she going to stick around with this dude? This is what the guy's thinking. Yeah. The whole time he's looking, I could see the tension in the room. Am I going to be a nurse? Is the rest of my life going to be a nurse? This guy's not married, has no kids. He has an 18-wheeler that slices his legs off. He doesn't know the truck. But now, off the tow truck, they have a video on both sides of this modern tow truck, okay? We get a snippet of all writing on the truck and a placard on the truck. We asked the Indiana State Troopers if they can use their specialized cameras to hone in on it. They couldn't. We went to a special, I don't know if you call them videographers or forensic video companies in San Francisco that we heard about, and each slice maybe cost us $7,000. So every time you slice down, you had to pay a little bit of money. But we were able to nail the owner of this truck. They said, it's not us. We don't know who the driver is. But we went back to way stations and we captured videos of this whole scene going back. There's where a lawyer steps in. There's where a lawyer can do things for you. A lawyer, you are not left without money. You are not left without something to have your back. We have the client's back. We will do anything for this client to achieve a resolution, protect the statute of limitations, gather the evidence, spend money, and a loan company, here they come in, protecting rights from financial peril. Suicide is a big thing with these clients. They get so depressed, they see no light at the end of the tunnel, that they think life is over, and they will try to overdose on pills because they don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. But a lawyer provides them the light. A lawyer shows them this is the light at the end of the tunnel. This is what we see. And I can guarantee this was shown. Past verdict reporters, jury verdict reporters will show them the evidence we gather and continue to gather to lift their spirits. We will get a loan to put a lift in their house. We're assuming, client, that these people don't have disability policies, that your average Joe, they don't have disability policies, or they can't tap into a 401k or a pension or a employee stock option plan. They don't have jack. They're your normal, typical person working for a paycheck, paying the rent, living paycheck to paycheck. Okay, but they're raising their children on these salaries. They're sending their kids to school. They're living on wages pursuant to the education that they've obtained in life, and no longer, with the aid of lawyers, are they penalized for this.
Well, let's before we end this podcast, this first session, we talked about the trends in personal injury law. We talked about how the process is a lot more streamlined. We talked about, you touched base on the technology, how that's changed. What else are some trends that you are seeing in the industry?
Well, I think the United States of America, has seen a huge uptick in the violation of people of color civil rights. When you have white guys mowing down African Americans for little, blowing through a stop sign, they think the plaintiff has a gun. They shoot him, or they kneel on his neck for 12 seconds and kill him. They bust through doors, shooting people. They assume that everyone of color is a bad person, is a criminal, that they're fearing for their life. But you just said technology. Oh my God, we're getting people videos off of cell phones and storefronts and police cams. I have nothing against police. We want the men in blue to protect us and protect our communities. We rely on them, but there are bad apples out there that we should get rid of. They should not be able to stay in the force, work through their police units to hang in there for something bad to happen in the future. So we're seeing technology. So what do we see in the United States? We're seeing, I've never seen this in my lifetime, the ability for minorities to finally get justice that has been denied them. But from the use of technology and aggressive legal representation, what are we also seeing? More of an uptick in the legal industry, that you may be inundated in your daily life when you're watching ESPN or Fox or CNN or a lot of cable shows. Mesothelioma. Have you been a victim of mesothelioma? So I would have to say the uptick in advertising showing the plaintiffs their rights that they didn't know of.
Yeah.
Did you take Zantac and get cancer? Like, they didn't know that. Yeah, I've been taking Zantac for months. And so we're seeing, this is from my view, from the view of the victim, through advertising, people may hate it. Oh, another lawyer's ad. Oh, Depew hip. Did you have a Depew hip? And there's been necrosis in your tissue and bone degradation? Have you lost the use of your leg? You know what? I have a Depew hip. Yeah. I had no idea that the hip was bad until you do see these commercials. And then what has happened in the plaintiff's bar? So say it cost $1 million. This is no exaggeration, to go through the records of, Johnson & Johnson, the manufacturer of Depew hip, the internal fixation that provides the mobility in someone's hip that needed a replacement. Let's say $1 million to go through their boxes of discovery, to go through their emails, to go through their massive trove of documents leading up to the design of the product, the manufacture of the product, past knowledge of where they weren't successful in trials. do you know on the other side, there's companies that will loan lawyers money based on the eventuality of the case. So loan the lawyer money so he's not at a disadvantage from $1 billion company. These are trends. I want to tell you, this is the God's honest truth. From the plaintiff getting money, how about the attorney now being able to borrow? So he's not under the foot of a multi-billion-dollar company. So the trends are, I see, making the people in the country more aware of that maybe this cancer that they have could be attributed to a bad drug or a bad device. So the client is more educated. The internet is educating them more. They can go on WebMD and look up symptoms and causes. So I would have to say the plaintiffs in the United States are sharper, more well-educated because of all the vetted articles that you see on the internet, and it's evening the playing field. So technology and in that aspect of client educating himself through what's on the internet and the ability for the lawyer to get money to prosecute this case, the ability for the client to stay in there, it's amazing how the playing field is being evened for the plaintiff. And it is sad with these civil rights cases and what technology, it is horrible, and it shows the ugliness of American, the law enforcement in the United States. We're not talking. We love the men in blue. It's the rotten apples, the racists that exist throughout our society. That's not going away. You even see on TV. If you watch TV, the extreme divisions between the Republicans and the Democrats. Accusing Democrats of being pedophiles. The Democrats accusing them of being white supremacists. There are white supremacists we see in America, these QAnon lunatics. We have racism and hate in America that is causing the violation of people's civil rights, liberties, and the ability to pursue money damages for the horrible actors in police forces throughout the United States.
Well, thank you, Jon. You've been your wealth of knowledge. I can't wait we're going to have a podcast on just civil rights alone, because that is a huge topic today. And we're going to be talking more about that. But to the audience, thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Next month, we're going to talk about the transition from law student to law firm. And you can share with the audience, what that process is like and what you look for personally when you're going to hire a lawyer. So we're looking forward to that podcast as well. Thank you, Jon.
I enjoyed it. Thank you.